Everybody, it's Miss C with the next video in our little how to make our stuffed animals. So in the last video, I showed you how to do the back stitching to put your fronts and backs together. And I also gave a guide on how to cut apart the pieces. We're gonna pick up again now that we've got the piece all folded right side out through the little gap that we left in our back stitching. So I'd back stitched all the way around her little head and I'd left about that much unstitched, and then I just kind of pushed and like flipped her inside out. And this is the part that still is an opening right there. This is where I'm going to take and put all my stuffing in. As for stuffing, we have polyfill. You can also use scraps of fabric. You could use beans or rice. You can use just about anything that takes up some space. This stuff is just polyfill. The closest thing to polyfill, if you don't have that, would be cotton balls or something of that nature. If you pull apart the cotton ball and fluff it out a little bit, you'll get something very, very similar to this. But this is nice because the polyfill, if it gets wet, stays nice and fluffy when it's done. Regular cotton will just kind of get soggy and lumpy if you do. So the next step is to stuff, and it's exactly like it sounds. You're just gonna take your stuffing and just kind of push it in there. What you're looking for is not overstuffed. You're just looking for just enough stuffing to go in that it puffs up the surface and puffs up your little creature, the arm, the leg, whatever it have you. So that was just a small little pinch, and it's filled up about half of her. And I've still got plenty of squish in there. That's good, but I don't have anything over here, so I do need a little more. So I'm gonna get another little pinch. I like to pull mine apart a little bit just to give it a little bit more fluff and volume. And now I'm gonna just use my finger to shove, arrange, puff up. And now I've got a little bit of puff. Now I think I'd like to have just a smidge more puff so that I can have just a little bit around her edges, which gives me just about that much that still needs puff in it. So I'm gonna grab one more tiny little pinch of fluff and stuff it in there. Wah wah. All right. So here we go. I still have plenty of squish in her. I can get her to squish flat really easily. And that's important because all of these stitches on the side, that back stitching that we did, all of that being hand done, especially if you have larger stitches, which you're not supposed to have. You can see how close mine together are if you zoom in really carefully. All of those are hand done, meaning that even though it is the strongest stitch that we know, if you are putting so much fluff in there that it's hard to squish, you can end up busting your own seams. You'll have bits trying to come out, and we don't want that. So again, make sure that you've got plenty of squish in there. We don't want to have overstuffed little stuffed animals. And from here, I'm going to use my needle and my thread, and you have two methods of closing them up. Now, the one that you learned in your sampler was the ladder stitch. We had our two folded over pieces of fabric and we did our stitches side to side while going across, and then we can zipper it shut. That is the ideal one. That will be invisible to see. The other option that you have is a whip stitch, where you start by coming in from the side like so, like you would do for a ladder stitch too. Shove that in the middle, and you can do a whip stitch where you go just from front to back, front to back, front to back, front to back. Both will work in getting this to shut. Once you have all of your sewing shut, you do want to bury your thread, which is to say whenever you get to the last stitch, you want to put your needle down near where you came up, and then just have it go out at some random point. Pull tight and cut off. I showed you that in the ladder stitch video if you need some more precise instructions. For now though, I am going to take this apart so that I can actually stitch it shut properly. All right, once you have all of your pieces together, then we'll talk about putting the different pieces together. Most kids can figure that one out without too much trouble once they learn how to do the whip stitch the way I just showed you. But if you need some help, we'll have that video up in a few days. Bye.